So, hi, Hayley. So, thanks a million for agreeing to be interviewed by Athletic Wise. Really, really appreciate it. And if I was to introduce you, I don't think I need to, but if I was to introduce you, it would probably take over an hour. So, I'll just give you, I'll just give bullet points of your accolades. I know, you've always been referred to as the greatest hockey player, female hockey player in the world, and I keep hearing that even to this day. So that's truly amazing. So H is a multiple Olympic medalist, whether it be softball, hockey, you name it, she's amazing at it. So all-time leading scorer, like goals, points, assists, I think internationally. Please correct me if I'm wrong. First female to play in the men's league and did a phenomenal job there. My gosh, Order of Canada. 2019 Hockey Hall of Fame was inducted, which is so well deserved. It's phenomenal. Part of the staff, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in player development. Just recently, I guess, spearheading the COVID. So yeah, you name it, H has done it and is now studying medicine at U of C. So thanks a million, H. And when I asked H what she wanted to talk about, she said resiliency. So I can't think of a better person to talk about it. So thanks again, H. And yeah, for starters, why resiliency?
Oh boy. Well, you and I could talk about this for probably a few days with all the things we've been through, together over the years. I mean, you've been my trainer, I don't know, sports psychologist, the whole 9 yards for, the last, when did we meet? Maybe 10 years ago now.
Over 10 years.
Yeah. And I have to say to the listeners, anything that I've accomplished in my last 10 years of my career is massively to do with what you've done for me, Syl. So resiliency, I mean, I look at, you said you can't think of a better person. Well, I can. I'm looking at her right now. But, when I think about resiliency and all of the great athletes that I've trained with, you've trained with, a trait, it's real resiliency. It's the ability to take a licking and get back up again and keep going. And so it's cliche, that whole phrase, it's not what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. But you know it better than anyone. But I think that is really true. And especially in these times with COVID, there's been a lot that's happened to us that we have no control over. And it's about how we choose to respond to that and how we will move forward. That is really going to make the difference if we're going to get through this sooner than later and come out on the other side okay. So resiliency matters because talent matters to a certain extent and physical capabilities do. But the size of someone's heart can never fully be truly measured or quantified. And I think that's when you see those amazing breakthrough performances that we see in sport. And that's why I think it's the number. If I'm looking at an athlete, I'm taking the more resilient one, her hands down, if it's a close race.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, is that something that's always been a trait of yours, or is it something that you developed?
Yeah, I think you gain resiliency by the experiences of your life. And so I was born in a small town in Saskatchewan. I had a pretty comfortable upbringing. It was middle class. My parents were teachers. We didn't suffer for anything really. We didn't have a lot of anything, but we certainly weren't hard done by and had no complaints. But playing a hockey and being a female in a male dominated sport at a young age, I learned pretty quickly that it wasn't something that was super accepted or I wasn't really wanted. So I went through, although my family life and my upbringing was quite comfortable, I went through at times like literally hell in playing the game and doing what I had to do to get to the next level. And then ultimately I played professional men's hockey, which, you're not welcomed with a silver platter doing those types of things really. So, but I wouldn't change the things that I went through because they shaped me to the person that I am today. And so, for example, now when I'm studying medicine and I'm in the hospital and someone's telling me that I didn't do this right, or, kind of, we call it pimping, when they pimp you on a subject. And if I didn't know the answer to something, I see people around me kind of crumble and lose their confidence. Whereas I'm like, Oh yeah, no big deal. I mean, as an athlete, I was told every single day what I was doing wrong, and you get used to being criticized and getting knocked down in that environment. So when you go into other environments, it's like, oh, well, this is no big deal. I've done this my whole life. So I think resiliency and grit is developed. I think you can put yourself in positions to develop it by choosing to put yourself in positions that make you feel uncomfortable. And I have always done that, which I think I did that on purpose. I would always train with, one summer you were training myself and Braden Coburn, who is playing for Tampa Bay Lightning, about to win a Stanley Cup, hopefully. And Braden is about 6'5" and 230 pounds. And he's launching me all over the place, and I'm physically outmatched, but I wouldn't want to train with anybody else because I want to be pushed, and because I know I'm going to come out of the other side better for it. So it's that kind of mindset that I think can allow us to get to levels we never thought we could before.
And probably works with confidence in that. The more resilient you are, the more confident you can be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think when you go through tough things, you come out the other side of it and you feel like, okay, I can handle more that comes at me. So it is about, that's how you develop confidence, because people will say, well, I lost my confidence. Well, how do I get it back? Well, you got to go do hard things again and get your confidence back. It's just, there's just no other way around it. No one's going to, people can give you confidence. Like, we all rely on people for positive feedback and stuff like that. But until you believe it yourself, you truly don't have confidence. So there's kind of those two different ways to look at it.
Well, and now talking about your foot, like you had obviously a very traumatic thing happen to your foot. So many people wrote you off. I certainly would never be part of that camp. I know you so well. So I had ultimate faith in you. So tell me, obviously that was a striking example of resiliency. Was that your greatest test of resiliency?
Well, it's one of them. I mean, from an athletic perspective, there's no doubt. Like, for context for your listeners, I mean, the navicular is the most important weight-bearing bone in your foot, and I broke it. And I started with a crack, which ended up with a screw, which ended up crumbing the bone to 4 pieces around the screw, which ended up with a plate and 8 screws over the top and a bone graft from my hip, and non-weight bearing for 4 months. So I saw 6 surgeons. 5 of them said, you'll never play again, let alone probably run, walk normal. One guy named Dr. Johnny Lau from the University of Western Toronto Hospital said, I think I can fix this, but you cannot touch your foot to the ground for 4 months. And so he fixed it. And you and I started at day 12. I'll never forget. I was on the massage table dying of pain. And the bone graft, by the way, is more painful than the foot injury. But I was in some serious hurt, and we started training at day 12. And I'll never forget you saying to me, okay, we're going to start at the end and we're going to work backwards. And that's how we're going to do this. And we're going to have a plan. And it was the structure that you gave me, and it was the plan moving forward that kept me sane, because I would have been lost. I would have been laying on the couch, howling around the house like dust in the wind if I didn't have that plan, which gave me confidence, which lessened my anxiety, which allowed me to heal faster and get better. And so it was from working backwards, having that plan. I remember, I think 20 some days in, I had a duct tape and a garbage bag around my foot, and off to the pool we went, and you would walk up and down that pool and watch me swim like a bad hockey player swims with one leg, no kicking. And when I came back 4 months later, and I think I fitness tested at 6 months or something, I broke or tied every fitness record that I had in that 20-year career that I'd had up to that date. So it was huge. And, I was pulling you on the scooter. I had on my hands and knees, I was on a scooter pulling you on a skateboard with bungees. I was on my hands and knees crawling up a hill with a weight vest on. Like, we were doing some crazy stuff. It was pretty intense, but never once did I stop training, even though I had a devastating injury. And I remember you saying to me, well, your foot is broken, but we're just going to train the rest of you, and your foot can catch up. So, I owe everything about my recovery to this day to what you did for me, Syl. And even still to this day, like, I probably couldn't run a marathon. Well, I could, but I'd hurt after. But
we all do.
Yeah, no, but my foot would hurt. But I train, like, obviously not as many hours, but just as hard. And I do all the same things that I used to do a little bit with limitation, but not too bad. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
Yeah, no, it's been an amazing journey, that's for sure. Well, thanks so much, H. Really, really appreciate your insights and everything. Is there anything like you'd like to add at all?
I just like to maybe just on the resiliency thing, I just say to people that are listening, like, you know, look at your own lifestyle or your training regimen and think about ways that you can build in periods of uncomfortableness or things that could develop your own inner resiliency, because it'll pay off in spades later on. One of the examples I'll use is you and I used to do these epics where we would run, foot bike, and ride. And, you know, for me, well, it's pretty intimidating running with a world-class runner. And then we would foot bike and then we would ride, and we would do these things that would kind of push us outside of our respective comfort zones. And I think it's fun to do it also in a group. So find people that want to suffer with you and want to go through that as well. And you can really like make some serious gains in whatever the fitness goals are that you have. And it's okay to fail and fall along the way, because we all do.
Yeah, no, I think there's some great points. I think now I always think of in terms of the neuroscience of building resiliency, and you know, I think what we can learn is that it can be a very top-down approach, and we can actually teach ourselves to have more resilient and reflexive behaviors. So thanks for giving us some real practical applications. I think that's fantastic. So thanks again, H. Yeah, such a pleasure and an honor to have you on.
All right. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Okay, all the best.